أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي ربي يسر ولا تعسر وتمم بالخير آمين يا رب العالمين.
In this lecture, we will study how to create emphasis in fi'il mudare. Let us revise how we created emphasis in jumla ismiyah. We studied that emphasis is created in jumla ismiyah using two words or two harf. These are inna and lam of emphasis. Both inna and lam, they create equal emphasis in jumla ismiyah. We also studied that inna is used much more frequently in the Holy Quran. And finally, we studied that inna will come at the start of jumla ismiyah and it will change the status or i'rab of mubtada. We used the example of the first two ayat of Surah Al-Asr to study these concepts. In ayah number 2, we see the use of inna. It is followed by al-insana. Al-insana is mansub because of the effect of inna. And we see the use of the lam of emphasis. Overall, we see in these two ayat that emphasis is created in four ways. First of all, it is created by the one who is addressing. Secondly, we see the emphasis being created by the use of wal asri, where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala swears by the passage of time. Then we see emphasis being created by inna, and finally by the lam of emphasis. Next, we will revise how emphasis is created in jumla fi'liyah. We studied that there are two types of fi'l mudare and fi'l mazi. Fi'l mazi is used for the past tense. Fi'l mudare is used for the present or future tense. We studied that there is a different method to create emphasis in fi'l mazi as compared to fi'l mudare. In the section of fi'l mazi or fi'l in the past tense, we studied that in order for us to add emphasis, we can either add qad, or to double the emphasis, we can add the lam of emphasis, or for further emphasis, we can add wallahi. And the final source of emphasis comes from the one who is speaking or the one who is addressing. Now let us study how to create emphasis in fi'il mudare. Please note that similar to fi'il mazi, qad and lam of emphasis can also be used to create emphasis in fi'il mudare. However, this method of creating emphasis in fi'il mudare is less commonly seen in the Holy Quran. So while we can use qad or lam of emphasis, similar to what we did in fi'il mazi to create emphasis in fi'il mudare, this approach is less commonly seen and used in the Holy Quran. We will study the most common method of creating emphasis in fi'il mudare. Here we will study the most common way where emphasis is created in fi'il mudare. Please note that to create emphasis in fi'il mudare, a noon is added towards the end of fi'il mudare. Once again, to create emphasis in fi'il mudare, a noon is added towards the end of fi'il mudare. This noon is called noon-e-ta'keed or noon of emphasis. There are two types of noon-e-ta'keed or noon of emphasis. One is the noon which has the shadda sign on it. It has the shadda symbol on it, and this noon is called noon-e-saqila. That is the grammatical terminology for this particular noon. The other type of noon is a noon with the sukoon symbol on it. And this noon is called noon khafifa. That is the grammatical terminology for this particular noon. Please note that both noon saqila and noon khafifa create equal emphasis. However, noon saqila or the noon with shadda symbol on it is very commonly used in the Holy Quran. To summarize, a common method that is used to create emphasis in fi'il mudare is by adding a noon towards the end of fi'il mudare. This noon is called noon ta'keed or the noon of emphasis. This noon can either be noon saqila, which is a noon with a shadda on it, or it can be noon khafifa, which is the noon with the sukoon symbol on it. Between these two options, noon saqila is the one which is more commonly used in the Holy Quran to create emphasis in fi'il mudare. Here we will understand how to use noon saqila or noon with the shadda symbol on it. to add emphasis to fi'l mudari. In order to do so, we will need to use our chart of fi'l mudari, and we will need to reorganize that chart or that table into 5 rows. So here we have our table of fi'l mudari, and here we have our new table with 5 different rows. Please note that we are only using this table for this specific example of how to use Nun Saqila to add emphasis in fi'l mudari. We are using the example of Zahaba, which is fi'l mazi, and we are going to use the pattern identifier fa to identify the corresponding fi'l mudari, which is yazhabu. Zahaba, yazhabu. Our table of fi'l mudari is as follows: yazhabu, yazhabani, yazhabuna. Tazhabu, tazhabani, yazhabna. Tazhabu, tazhabani, tazhabuna, tazhabina, tazhabani, tazhabna. Azhabu, nazhabu. We will take all these cells from the table and we will organize them into this new table into 5 rows based on certain patterns. Our first pattern is as follows. We have yazhabu, tazhabu, tazhabu, azhabu, nazhabu. So we have taken yazhabu from this table and put it here, tazhabu and put it here, tazhabu and we've put it here, azhabu we've put it here, and nazhabu we've put it here. So we have taken 5 out of these 14 cells and organized them into row number 1. If we pay attention to row number 1, we have all of the following on the same pattern. We see pesh at the end of yazhabu, tazhabu, tazhabu, azhabu, and nazhabu. They are also pronounced on the same pattern. Next, we move to row number 2. In row number 2, we have the following: yazhabani, tazhabani, tazhabani, tazhabani. So we have taken basically column number 2 here, and we have put it into row number 2. Yazhabani and the 3 tazhabani, tazhabani, tazhabani. Again, if we pay attention, yazhabani, tazhabani, tazhabani, tazhabani are all pronounced on the same pattern, and they have the same ending, that is the ani ending sound. Next, we move to row number 3, and we have yazhabuna, tazhabuna. So we've taken yazhabuna from here and put it in row number 3, tazhabuna from here and put it in row number 3. Yazhabuna, tazhabuna are also on the same pattern. They have the same ending. For row number 4, we have yazhabna, tazhabna. Yazhabna, tazhabna. Both of them are also on the same pattern. And finally, we are only left with one cell which will comprise row number 5, and that is going to be tazhabina. Tazhabina has its own unique ending and pronunciation, so that is why it has its own row. So we have the following conclusion. We have taken the fi'il mudare table and we have reorganized it into 5 different rows. And this is our first step towards understanding how to use Nun Saqila to create emphasis in fi'il mudare. All rows are based on ending sound patterns. And please note an extra point that rows number 1, 3, and 5 are very commonly used in the Holy Quran. Rows number 2 and 4 are rarely used in the Holy Quran. So our main focus of study will be on rows number 1, 3, and 5. Now let us look at specific examples for each row on how to add emphasis to fi'il mudare using the noon of emphasis, specifically using Nun Saqila. Here we will take the first cell from our first row and we have yazhabu, and we will add the noon of emphasis to yazhabu. Our result will be as follows. Yazhabu plus noon saqila equals yazhabanna. So let us see what are the changes that are taking place in the case of yazhabanna. In the case of yazhabanna, the first change that we notice is that the pesh on yazhabu is being replaced by a zabar. So yazhabu is becoming yazhaba, and then we are attaching the noon of emphasis to it and we are putting a zabar on it. So yazhabu plus noon saqila becomes yazhabanna. Please notice the anna ending sound. Yazhabanna. Yazhabu with emphasis through nun saqila becomes yazhabanna. And we can apply this rule to the entire row. So we will have yazhabu becoming yazhabanna, tazhabu, tazhabanna, tazhabu, tazhabanna, azhabu, azhabanna, nazhabu, nazhabanna, yazhabanna, tazhabanna, tazhabanna, azhabanna, nazhabanna. Please note the common anna ending sound in this entire row. We have the following result. Yazhabu means he goes or he will go. Please note that the translation is both in the present tense and in the future tense because this is fi'il mudare. When we add nun saqila or nun of emphasis to yazhabu, we get yazhabanna. Yazhabanna will be translated as he most certainly will go. So we are not translating this in the past tense, but we are translating this in the future tense. This is a very important point. With the addition of nun saqila or nun of emphasis at the end of fi'il mudare, the fi'il mudare will only be used in the future tense. So while yazhabu was translated both in the present and in the future tense, but with the addition of nun saqila or the nun of emphasis, yazhabanna will only be translated in the future tense. We have studied how to create emphasis using nun saqila in row number 1 of our table. We will skip row number 2 because it is less frequently used in the Holy Quran, and we will move on to row number 3. In row number 3, we will take the example of yazhabuna, which is fi'il mudare without emphasis, and we will add nun saqila to it to create emphasis. Our first step will be the following. We will take yazhabuna and we will remove the noon with zabar on it from yazhabuna. So we are left with yazhabu plus noon saqila. Now we move on to step number 2. Step number 2, in order to understand that step, we need to open up this noon with shadda on it. So noon with shadda on it is actually noon with sukoon on it, followed by another noon with zabar on it. So here we have a situation where we have yazhabu, which is ending with waw with sukoon on it, and it is followed by noon with sukoon on it. And we know the rule that in a word, two letters with sukoon on them cannot be next to one another. So in this situation, we have one alphabet with sukoon on it, and it is coming next to another alphabet with sukoon on it. And these two cannot be together. So in order to facilitate this, we will remove the waw with the sukoon on it as well, and we will get the final result. Yazhabuna plus nun saqila equals yazhabunna. So we have the yazhabu followed by noon with shadda on it, and we have the result yazhabunna. Please notice the unna ending sound in row number 3, which is different than the anna ending sound that we saw in row number 1. In row number 1, we had yazhabanna, and in row number 3, we have yazhabunna. So yazhabuna plus nun saqila equals yazhabunna. Yazhabuna means they go or they will go, and yazhabunna has emphasis in it. So yazhabunna will mean they most certainly will go. Once again, note that with the addition of nun saqila at the end of fi'il mudare, the fi'il mudare will only be translated or used in the future tense. We have studied how to create emphasis using nun saqila for row number 1, row number 3, and now we will move on to row number 5. In row number 5, we have the only example of tazhabina. Tazhabina plus nun saqila equals the following. Step number 1, we will take tazhabina and we will remove the noon with zabar on it at the end. So what we are left with is tazhabi plus noon with shadda on it. Once again, the noon with shadda symbol on it, we have opened it up, which creates the noon with sukoon on it, followed by noon with zabar on it. And we come back to the same rule that in a word, two letters with sukoon on it cannot be next to one another. So the only solution to it is to remove the ya with sukoon on it, and we have tazhabi plus noon with shadda on it, and our result is tazhabina plus noon saqila equals tazhabinna. Tazhabinna will have the inna ending sound. For row number 1, we had the anna ending sound. For row number 3, we had the unna ending sound. And for row number 5, we have the inna ending sound. Tazhabina can be translated as you go or you will go, referring to the feminine gender. Tazhabinna will be translated as you most certainly will go. And once again, we see that with the addition of Nun Sakhila at the end of Fi'il Mudare, the Fi'il Mudare is being used in the future tense. Here is a summary of our results. We studied row number 1, row number 3, and row number 5 in detail, and we studied how to add emphasis to these examples of Fi'il Mudare using Nun Saqila. For row number 1, we have the following result using the example of Yazhabu. Yazhabu plus Nun Saqila equals Yazhabanna. Note the anna ending sound at the end. Also, if we look at yazhabanna, we have a clue that if nun saqila is preceded by zabar, then we should think of row number 1. For row number 3, we have the following result using the example of yazhabuna. Yazhabuna plus nun saqila equals yazhabunna. Note the unna ending sound. If nun saqila is preceded by a pesh, then we should think of row number 3. And finally, for row number 5, we have the only example of tazhabina. Tazhabina plus nun saqila equals tazhabinna. And now we will note the inna ending sound. So anna ending sound, think row number 1. Unna ending sound, think row number 3. Inna ending sound, think row number 5. For row number 5, our clue is that if the nun saqila is preceded by zair, then we should think row number 5. Please note for all of these examples that with the addition of nun saqila at the end of fi'il mudare in order to create emphasis, that fi'il mudare will only be used in the future tense. Let us do some revision. How can we add emphasis to fi'il mudare? By adding noon of emphasis, which can either be noon saqila or noon khafifa at the end of fi'il mudare. What is noon khafifa? Noon khafifa appears like this, which is noon with a sukoon symbol on it. What is noon saqila? Noon saqila appears like this, which is a noon with the shadda symbol on it. Does noon saqila and noon khafifa create equal emphasis? Yes. Which noon of emphasis is most commonly used in the Holy Quran? That is noon saqila, which is the noon with the shadda symbol on it. How can we add more emphasis to fi'il mudare? We can add further emphasis to fi'il mudare by adding the lam of emphasis at the start of fi'il mudare. Let us study some examples. First of all, we have yansuru. Yansuru is a fi'il mudare. Yansuru means he helps or he will help. If we want to add emphasis to yansuru by adding nun saqila, we get the result yansuranna. Please notice the anna ending sound. He will surely help is the meaning of yansuranna, and please note that now we are using the future tense. If we want to add further emphasis to yansuranna, we will add lam of emphasis at the beginning, and now we have la yansuranna. We can further add Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as the fa'il, and our result is la yansuranallahu. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will surely help. Please note that Allahu is fa'il, and that is why it is marfu. We can study the following example from the Holy Quran. Surah number 22, ayah number 40. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, Allah will definitely help those who help him by defending the religion prescribed by him. In this example, we see La yansuranallahu. Allah will definitely help. Please note that Nun Saqila is being used to create emphasis. Please also note that lam of emphasis is also being used at the beginning. Please also note that the translation of layansuranallahu is in the future tense. Allah will definitely help. Finally, please note the anna ending sound at the end of layansuranna. Our next example starts with tadkhuluna. Tadkhuluna is fi'il mudare. Tadkhuluna means you enter in the present tense or you will enter in the future tense. You is referring to masculine and plural. If we want to add emphasis to tadkhuluna by adding nun saqila, we will get the result tadkhulunna. Please notice the unna ending sound. Tadkhulunna means you will surely enter. Now, please note that we are using the future tense. And if we want to add further emphasis, we will add the lam of emphasis at the beginning and we will have latadkhulunna. An example from the Holy Quran is in Surah number 48, ayah number 27. You will surely enter the sacred mosque if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wills in safety. In this ayah, we see the use of latadkhulunna. Please note the unna ending sound. Please notice the presence of nun saqila at the end and lam of emphasis at the beginning, and latadkhulunna creates the meaning of you will surely enter, referring to the future tense. Please note that qad can also be used to create emphasis in fi'il mudare, but it is less commonly used in the Holy Quran. For example, we have ta'lamuna, which is fi'il mudare, and we can add emphasis to ta'lamuna by adding qad, and we have qad ta'lamuna. We have an example from the Holy Quran in Surah number 61, ayah number 5. Hazrat Musa alayhi salam said to his people, O my people, why do you hurt me when you already certainly know I am Allah's messenger to you? In this example, you already certainly know. Certainly is added by the presence of qad. Qad adds emphasis here. And please note one more thing, that with the addition of qad, fi'il mudare is now used in the present tense. When only lam of emphasis is used to add emphasis, then fi'il mudare will also be used in the present tense. So we studied that with the addition of nun saqila, the fi'il mudare was translated in the future tense, but with qad alone, fi'il mudare is used in the present tense. And with lam of emphasis alone, fi'il mudare is also used in the present tense. Here is our summary table. Fi'il mudare will be used only in the present tense if we use qad to add emphasis at the start of fi'il mudare, or if we add lam of emphasis only at the start of fi'il mudare. But if we add nun saqila at the end of fi'il mudare, then fi'il mudare will only be used in the future tense. At this point, we will also study the use of seen. Seen is written with seen with a zabar on it, and sawfa with fi'il mudare. When seen with zabar on it or sawfa are used at the start of fi'il mudare, then fi'il mudare will be used in the future tense. So we will update our table as follows. Fi'il mudare will be used only in the present tense if we have qad at the start of fi'il mudare. And please note, if we only are using qad at the start of fi'il mudare, that is when fi'il mudare will be used in the present tense. And if we only have lam of emphasis at the start of fi'il mudare, then fi'il mudare will be used in the present tense. Fi'il mudare will only be used in the future tense if we have nun saqila at the end of fi'il mudare, or if we have seen with the zabar on it at the start of fi'il mudare, or if we have sawfa at the start of fi'il mudare. This seen and sawfa are called huruf istiqbal. Istiqbal originates from mustaqbil or the future. These are huruf. So sawfa is a harf and this seen with the zabar on it is a harf. So these are huruf that associate fi'il mudare with the future. A good example of the use of sawfa comes from Surah number 102 in ayahs 3 and 4. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Kalla sawfa ta'lamuna. Thumma kalla sawfa ta'lamuna. Please note that ta'lamuna in both ayah number 3 and ayah number 4 is fi'il mudare. And before fi'il mudare, we are seeing the use of sawfa. Ayah number 3 can be translated as, no, indeed, you will come to know. And ayah number 4 can be translated as, again, no, you will soon come to know. So, because of the presence of sawfa at the beginning of fi'il mudare, the translation of that particular fi'il mudare will be done in the future tense.
سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك